Since returning to the White House, Trump has threatened or imposed tariffs on Canada as a means of economic coercion, saying he wants to make this country the 51st U.S. state. Our next guest, who's a former Minister for Defence, has co-authored a report identifying measures to mitigate Canadian risk. We're now joined by Perrin Beatty, a former Cabinet Minister. Great to see you, Perrin. Thanks very much indeed for coming on the show. So you were involved in a group that came out with this report. I want to get the actual name of the actual group. It's the Expert Group on Canada-US Relations. And you do warn, among other things, that America is now an unreliable partner.
And that's a major concern for us, because it's the same way with interpersonal relationships between people or between businesses. The relationships between countries as well are founded on trust. And when somebody breaks that trust, it makes it very difficult to resume the relationship in the way that it was before. That makes the U.S. an unreliable partner. We can't count on them to keep their word.
Among the measures you recommend is a cabinet-led situation room, kind of a war room almost, that would analyze problems, solicit input, and prepare to deal what you guys think will be successive crises during the Trump presidency.
If there's any indication from the first month and a half or so of his presidency, what we're going to see is a succession of crises that are created by the administration. What we need in Canada is the capacity to be able to respond, to do so coherently, to do so in an all-of-government approach, but also to get input from provincial governments, municipal governments, the private sector, and others as well, but to have a single focus for the response.
And you think in terms of negotiations, we shouldn't rush into talks. And if the Americans say, well, everything's got to go on the table, including supply management, of course, we should resist that.
Well, I think the first thing is we shouldn't trade anything without getting something in return. The suggestion that Donald Trump can simply confront Canada and say, here's my list of demands, take it and like it, is not acceptable to Canada. Second, we learned something from the trumped-up excuse that he gave for imposing tariffs on Canada in the first place, about allegedly a flood of fentanyl. Mm-hmm. And he repeated that again last night in the middle of the night. And because of an alleged flood of illegal immigrants coming into the United States from Canada, we know that there are more drugs cross north than cross south. We know that there have been greater problems with illegal immigrants coming from the south than coming from the north. And we certainly know when it comes to something like handguns that the vast majority of those come from the United States. But Canada responded when he made his threat by rushing down to Mar-a-Lago and by announcing $1.3 billion worth of response on the border. And Trump simply ignored that. As recently as last night, he was going on again about this flood of fentanyl from Canada. Until such time as we know what the bottom line is here, what in fact he's looking for, whether in fact he's willing to negotiate, we shouldn't rush in to offer any solutions to him.
I mean, I know it's water under the bridge, but you think the former Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau, was unwise to head down to Mar-a-Lago in retrospect?
Yes. And you know, he did so in good faith. He felt that he'd be able to head off a crisis. He felt he was dealing with somebody who could be believed at the level in which he was talking, that he said there was a problem with fentanyl or the border that was of concern to him, and that if you could address that, then the problem would go away. That didn't happen. Yeah, and that's the difficulty with Mr. Trump, on the trade side and on the security side. On the trade side, what he has done by imposing tariffs on Canada and on Mexico is to invalidate the signature that he put onto CUSMA, a trade agreement that he negotiated and said was the best ever, and that he signed and that he then invalidated by simply unilaterally putting tariffs on. The same applies on the security side. How can we entrust our security to somebody who says that Canada shouldn't exist?
Yeah, I mean, it boggles the mind, doesn't it? Yeah, in terms of our defense and our intelligence gathering, what do we need to do there?
Well, both on the defense and security side and on the economic side, we have to start with the understanding that there's no going back to the way that things used to be, where we just implicitly trusted each other. And we knew that there would never be an instance where one of our countries would try deliberately to damage the other. And this means that the United States, which has been the anchor for democracy, for the rule of law, for open trade, for economic growth and so on, has moved to become a threat to be mitigated, unfortunately. And we need on the security side to say we've got to take much more responsibility for our own defense and security, and we can't entrust it to somebody who's demonstrated that he doesn't believe in the very existence of our country.
Just on a personal note, you had an op-ed, a piece in the Palm Beach Post saying, I'm a Canadian who lives in Florida. Don't let tariffs ruin our relationship. Do you live full time in Florida now, Perrin?
No, definitely not.
No.
We've for the last 10 years we've had a place in Naples, Florida, and this was going to be the first winter that we were actually going to winter here. He will be announcing tariffs against Canada today. Tomorrow morning we get in the car and we come home.
And you wanted to send the message to Americans, and we have deep, rich ties with that nation. It's been a great neighbor over the years. But what message did you want to send to Americans?
It's very important for us as Canadians to differentiate between the American people and the Trump administration. We need to put the responsibility, exactly where it belongs, and that's on Donald Trump. The vast majority of Americans want to have a good relationship with Canada. Any Canadian who's been down here has had Americans coming up to him saying, I'm embarrassed, I'm humiliated by what the president's doing, I don't understand it, and I just want to apologize for what's taking place. Americans aren't supporting what he's doing. They certainly didn't vote for him to make an attack on Canada. And we need to continue to reach out to the citizens, because this will be decided in the United States. And when ordinary American citizens and when American businesses say to their elected representatives that the time has come to stop, that's when it will end.
We'd better jump. Perrin, thank you very much indeed for joining us.